Welcome back into HQ Spotlight on CBS Sports Network. A lot has changed in a month, including Mike Renner's latest NFL mock draft. The Titans are now selecting one again, and they just drafted a quarterback. So he has Ruben Bain going first overall on the defensive side of the ball, meaning that Fernando Mendoza, his previous #1 overall pick, is now down to number 5 going to the Jets. So let's welcome in Mike Renner, who wrote this mock draft for us. So now Ty Simpson is the top quarterback taken at number 3 to the Browns. There's been a little bit of shifting there when it comes to your quarterback rankings. So what has changed over the last month that caused the shakeup with the top pick and then also the top QB taken?
Yeah, the top pick is more just the Titans aren't drafting a quarterback. I didn't do trades in this mock draft. If I did, I would have someone probably moving up to that #1 overall spot because the Titans need the draft capital, and if the quarterbacks are good enough, they always go #1 overall. But for this, for Simpson versus Mendoza, after their performances, just after Simpson, I guess, his performance the past month or so, given the fact that it's his very first year as starter, I think he's leaped up to at least equal footing with Mendoza in my eyes. He's the better athlete. He has a little bit better of an arm. He looks like a guy, given the level of competition that he's playing week in, week out, that you could probably start day one in the NFL. And if you're the Cleveland Browns, you probably are going to lean towards the guy who has a little bit better tools. I also just like the Mendoza to the Jets fit because, to me, the comp for him is someone like a Jared Goff. And with Tanner Engstrand there, the OC, coming over from Detroit, it's like a perfect fit offensively for a guy like Mendoza to go in and have success. So that's why I had the shakeup. It's nothing Mendoza's doing. He's going to be a top 5 pick, in my opinion, when it's all said and done. It's more just Ty Simpson is really playing high-level football over the past month, and he's doing it against the best defenses in college football.
Yeah, you previously had Ty Simpson taken number 15 overall in your mock draft a month ago, now up to number 3. But like you said, both quarterbacks playing quite well. As for a quarterback who's a faller, Dante Moore went from a top 5 pick to just completely out of the first round. So what warranted the drop from him?
For me, it's more just that he needs more reps. You know, he's a guy that played half the year his freshman year, sat on the bench as a sophomore, then gets to start this year. And I think you've just seen some rough around the edges from his play of late. The Wisconsin game, the Iowa games were not great objectively. And if he came out, he'd probably still be a first rounder. But this guy, if you're looking at it from the NFL perspective, I just don't trust him to start right away. And more often than not, that's kind of the delineator between do I use the top 5 pick on this guy or not? And so I think him going back to Oregon, having another year after this year, and obviously with what the NIL money is at college, he may not be giving up that much given that he'll be highly in demand. I think that he could play his way into the #1 overall pick next season, but I don't think he's jumping either Simpson or Mendoza at this point if he were to come out.
We've also seen quite a few Oregon quarterbacks over the last couple of years improve their draft stock by staying and playing some football. He's also been missing his star wide receivers for a stretch too, but ultimately we're paying attention to the quarterback play. Another faller, Clemson defensive end TJ Parker, he was number 12, now down to number 23, so still a first rounder. We know the team is not very good, but what have you seen from the player?
Yeah, I just don't think he's developed as a pass rusher, and especially in the trenches when you are evaluating prospects from their sophomore year to the junior year. You want to see not only physical development, but technical development. You want to see performance be this linear or more, hopefully even stronger than linear, even, hyperbolic sort of improvement from year on year for a guy. And with him, he's gotten worse. 51 pressures last year, only 28 pressures this season. And so because of that, I think he's going to fall a little, still very talented, but he's not the top 5, top 10 talent we had hoped coming into this season.
Another faller to hit on, Oregon edge, Matayo Uiagalelei. You had him going 23. He's dropped out of the first round. Where do you see him slotted now?
I just see him coming back to school. This is another guy where, with his performance of late, given where his draft stock will be, and given where it could be, because he's a former 5-star, he has all the tools to be a top 10 pick. He only has 3 pressures in his last 3 games, though. He's had a rough stretch of it against some pretty good offensive lines. And while if he came out, could maybe still sneak into the back end of the first round, he's very young. He doesn't turn 21 until July. And so we often see those guys who are kind of borderline first rounders who are young make the decision to come back to school, come out as 21-year-olds, and then they'll probably be top 10 to 15 picks. That's kind of how I see Uiagalelei's career progressing from this point on.
All right, let's talk some risers, getting some positivity in here. The Bills select wide receiver KC Concepcion out of Texas A&M at number 26. He wasn't previously in your first round mock, so I didn't know where he landed before that, but why is he up there now?
Yeah, this is a guy who transferred from NC State in the offseason, and it's done a lot of good for his draft stock. Because at NC State, he was stuck running a very slot-heavy, underneath route tree that didn't take advantage of his full skill set. And we're seeing it now as he's primarily an outside X sort of wide receiver and going down the football field a lot more, and it's paying off dividends. 787 yards on 47 catches, 8 touchdowns, one of the most explosive weapons in all of college football. He's a 3-level separator. The guy just gets open at will, and it's just something we really didn't see on his tape until this season because of the route tree. So watching him now, I think he's firmly in the first round conversation, especially when you look at the back end of the first round and a lot of teams who could use juice that Concepcion has.
You mentioned a lot of teams could use some juice. How do we view this wide receiver class as a whole?
I think it's gotten a lot better as this season's wore on. I thought going into the year, there really was just Arizona State's Jordan Tyson that I had a first round grade on, and then no one else. Now I have 4 guys that I would call firm first rounders, him being one of them, Carnell Tate being another from Ohio State who I have in the top 10, and then Chris Brazzell of Tennessee as well being a first rounder given his play this season in a breakout senior campaign. So it has a lot of vertical based wide receivers. There's a lot of guys that can get down the football field, and more often than not, those are the guys that go higher than you expected. It's the guys who can take the top off of the defense, and there's a lot of them in this draft class.
Yeah, it is hard to teach speed. Finally, another riser from not in to now in, Cincinnati linebacker Jake Golday. He goes to the Rams, at number 29. Why is this a first-round name we need to know? I have a feeling that some people are hearing this name for the first time, Mike.
Well, there's a couple of reasons why. One, I think it's just the trend of linebackers at the NFL level that we're seeing. Everyone wants a guy that's 240 plus pounds that not only can play linebacker, but they can double as a defensive end. They can actually go rush the passer for you and be an add-on defensive lineman for you. He is that. He truly was. He started his career at defensive end at Central Arkansas before moving off ball. He moves like a safety when he's off ball. He rushes the passer like a defensive end. That's the skill set that's so rare at the position that I think we're going to see it go in the first round. And I think we're going to see it from a number of guys. The linebacker class is far and away the best position group in this upcoming draft class. So we could see upwards of 4 to 5 guys end up in the first round at linebacker this year.
Wow, I think a big reason, too, he seemingly came out of nowhere is because he started his career in the FCS. How often do you see players come from a lower level to now a first-round talent? Not just talking about the draft as a whole, Mike.
We're seeing it more often, and it's great, the transfer portal for those guys. Now, maybe not for those schools because they lose those guys, but it's great for their draft stock because if this guy was still at Central Arkansas, we'd be like, yeah, he's like a 3rd, 4th rounder just because of the conservative nature of NFL teams. But he gets the chance now to prove it in the Big 12, and boy, is he proving it. So I think that's a big win for those lower-level prospects who, like you said before, had a very long shot of becoming first rounders. Now I think it's very likely. We're seeing it across the college football landscape that there are guys who come from low levels and then end up first rounders at bigger schools.
Yeah, we like to say that the NFL will find you, but ultimately the NFL wants to see you up against that better competition. Yep. So the portal has opened up that opportunity for them. Mike Renner, thank you so much for breaking down your updated mock draft. I'm sure there will be 50 more editions of this. You can check him out on the Pushing the Pile podcast. Watch by scanning that QR code or listen wherever you find your podcasts.